What's going on, guys, and welcome to MSC F1. This is the pre-season race here in Monza. So at the moment, MSC F1, Nick, he just went into the barrier there. He's currently the fastest driver on track. He was just trying to get out of the way. Sender's still in the pit lane. Twitch Caxel is out on track in that BMW M4. And Chud's in that Ferrari, looking amazing, actually, that Scuderia. It's not Scuderia, is it? So we do have another Porsche. That's Jonathan on track as well. Cam McKenzie in a Porsche. So it's a real choice of drivers here. Here we go, Wesley. So Duncan, the Dutchie, is still in the pit lane in the Lexus. The first time I've seen the Lexus on track. Daddy Kill in the McLaren. Robert Gillen also in the McLaren. So we'll go on board with him and let's see what he can do. So Robert, 10 minutes of qualifying left. Robert Gillen went up to P1, so he just missed out on that. Demir is currently in P13. He's not improving on his lap time in that McLaren GS Racing. Also not improving, but we do have Lev on a lap. Phoenix Gray also goes up to P7. MSC F1 Nick going into the pit lane in the Ferrari. Cinder's still in the pits. Here comes Twitch Caxel to start his final lap. Let's see what he can do in that BMW. And then we have Chuds as well in the Ferrari. And he is currently a 10th, 3 tenths down now. It was a slow set through Rettifilo. So let's stay on board now. He's 7 tenths down at the moment. What about Phoenix Gray in the Porsche? He's on his way out now. Jonathan as well, about to start a flying lap. So let's go on board with the Porsche driver, see what he can do as he comes in towards Parabolica at turn 11. And he's taking a nice wide line so he can just get as much speed as he can up towards the start-finish line. Just under 10 minutes to go here in qualifying. Down towards the line. So in towards Rettifilo we go, slamming on them brakes and just hook the apex to the right hand side. And then the left, it was a beautiful line through there for Jonathan. He's yet to set a lap time, so we don't know if he's up or down as he comes around Curva Grande in turn 3, full throttle through there. And then in towards Rettifilo. I can't remember which one it's for. Down in towards the 2 Lesmos at turn 4 and 5. So the first one is Rettifilo, yeah. Right down the straight towards Leo, and then we go into the famous down towards Ascari. 17 drivers on track. Jonathan currently in a P10. Through Ascari he goes. That was a really nice line for the Porsche driver through there. He executed it to perfection as we now go down towards Parabolica. I'm just going to do a quick sound check, guys. Right, that should be better in terms of audio, because that is very, very loud. Right, so that should be a lot better. So Jonathan went up to P1. We said it was a good lap, and it absolutely was. Cam McKenzie still in the pit lane. Duncan went up to P2 in that Lexus. He was also improving. No, he goes late on the brakes. The Dutchie in P15, also in a Lexus, coming around the Lesmo corners. Is that better? I hope that's better. They're the same settings I used for the race last week. Look at all these three: the Lexus, the McLaren, the red McLaren. So down towards Ascari. So nice line through there for the Lexus. And we see the concentration. I'm sorry guys, I still haven't worked out how you go in order of drivers, so it just takes me to a random driver. Here comes Robert Gillen in the McLaren. He is 6/10 up, down towards the line. He's currently in P3. Where's he going to put it? Robert Gillen goes up to P1. Provisional pole with just under 6 minutes to go here in the MSC Gt3 series, as Robert just pulls over to the side to go back to the pit lane. Demir, also in the McLaren, is 3/10 up as he goes into Della Roggia. So we'll stay on board with him and see what he can do. And you can sort of see what gear and everything that he's using through the Lesmo corners. Half a second up now is Demir as he comes into Ascari, and he needs to be careful through there, and then foot down now. 6/10 up is Demir, the Bosnian driver representing, but it is the McLaren with all the power in the engine as he comes in towards Parabolica. I think your driver list on the left is track position, not overall standings. Yeah, see Wesley, I don't know how to do that, so I can't get the actual positions up. Demir goes up to P2, so even when I'm in the race, it goes from like, I can't flick through the drivers in the actual order, and I don't know how to change it. Oh no, what have I just done? And go to controls. Yep. Scroll down to control bindings. Oh, a minute. Scroll down to control. Where would that be? Oh, here. Yeah. Hug MFD. HUD. Cycle HUD MFD. So R2, yeah. Ah, okay, cycle. So how would I do that? R1, cycle HUD down, L1, something like that. Real time position. Oh no, what have I just done? Oh no. Sorry guys, standings, pit stop. So if I cycle, right, let me just try that. Oh no, because they change the camera thingies, don't they? Sorry, I think real time relative and standings overall. Sorry guys, I want to make sure it's right for the race. So let me just reset it again, right. So where R2 and L2 are assigned, I should really take them off and change it to, so cycle, HUD, MFDO. I think real time is relative and standings overall. I don't know what that means, sorry mate. Right, 1 second. So if I do that, right, 1 second. Sorry, I'll have a look in a minute, Wesley. You can swap between it because I've just set it as up and down, but it's not working. So at the moment, currently in P1 is Phoenix Gray in the Porsche. He's currently on pole position. So yeah, but it should work though, shouldn't it? Sorry, 1 second. Because it'd be great in the race if you could do that. So we still have Duncan on a lap in the Lexus coming through. Down towards Seraglio and in towards Ascari. Robert Gillen can do no more. He's currently in P3. Jonathan also has hit the checkered flag. He is in P5 in that Porsche. Maybe it might work in the race, you know, Wesley. So through Ascari we go. Duncan has now moved down to P7 towards Parabolica. There is car number 41 coming to the line. That is GS Racing. He's currently in P11. Here he comes down towards the line. Also in the McLaren. Where is GS Racing going to put it? Up to P8. Now back on board with Duncan as he comes around Parabolica. But he's 8 tenths down. He's not going to improve. And we have a few cars, and that is it. Session has ended, and Phoenix Gray takes pole position by less than a tenth of a second. All right, Sean. Yeah, I need to have a look into that, Wesley, but now you've showed me that, I can play around with that, which is good. Because I'm hoping in the race we can navigate through the drivers in their actual order. I'm sure there's got to be a way, hasn't there? So 5 minutes till the session time. I can press down here and that's fine. Options, controls. Next dash page, previous dash page. View. Cycle MFD up and down. Right, that should help, but we'll see. So we are going to have a bit of a night race as well. Yeah, I know you have to change it, but it should be easier to navigate through than it is. Like, I should be able to do what I'm doing now and just go, yeah, okay, on board, and then flick through the drivers in the order that I want to flick through them. So 8 PM start time, we'll get dark halfway through the race. Sweet. So we are nearly there, the pre-season race here in MSC for the GT3 series. All the drivers are just getting ready. It is Phoenix Gray that does start on pole position. Here we go, this is it. Yeah, it doesn't go through in order, which is very annoying. Right, here we go. The rolling start for the drivers. It looks a bit dark out there already. And we are underway, I think. Is it? Is there a formation lap? Oh, somebody's in the wall already. Formation lap. I can mess around with the controls actually whilst this is on. Just see if that works or anything. Oh no, I changed that, didn't I? So going down towards the Scarlet on this formation lap. It's strange how it just goes in a completely random order when you're skipping through the drivers. Alright, here we go. So it will be Phoenix Grey that leads the way. Drivers line up. And Phoenix Grey's got a bit of space between him at the moment. He's going to be off to a flyer here. Just edging up to the line. And off we go here at the MSC F1 GT3 series, and already somebody's into the wall. Phoenix Grey did get a good start. It is Honda and Jonathan who are wheel to wheel going down towards turn 2. Jonathan on the inside in towards Retafilo, but he's being absolutely swallowed up. A couple of the drivers are off the track and it's bedlam at turn 1. Jonathan is still there though, and up to P2 he goes. GS Racing up to P3, and Duncan has been overtaken in that Lexus. The Dutchie at the back. Sean is making progress in that GTR. Daddy Cool in the McLaren. There, Robert Gillen up to P3 now, so he's made an overtake. No, he's in P13, and there's a huge collision going into Della Roggia. And that was a few of the drivers having a coming together. GS Racing is right there with the front runners as he follows them through the 2 Lesmo corners, out of turn 5 and down towards Seraglio. And you see the drivers in the background. There is a Porsche just going off the track there. So down towards Ascari, and it is Phoenix Grey that leads to Jonathan, and then Honda just behind him. Demir in P15, MSC F1 Nick in that Ferrari, and there is a driver just off the track. I think that might have been Sean. It was Sean in P9 now, and he's about to move down to P10. He does, and Duncan is through in that Lexus, but Sean will try and go at the inside of Parabolica, and he is just edging in front of the Lexus, but he's losing the back end a little bit. And they go wheel to wheel once more, but it is Duncan that is through. Jonathan has been overtaken by GS Racing, who's going for the move on Phoenix Grey. He goes for the lunge. They do collide. They have a coming together, and the 2 Porsche drivers have nowhere to go. And look at Jonathan trying to make the move, and now here comes the McLaren of Honda. Look at this for a battle at the front. GS Racing is your race leader now to Jonathan, the Dutchman, in P2. Phoenix Grey is having to recover from that early collision. And here comes Phoenix Grey. That was Jonathan, who is edging even closer to GS Racing as we go down towards Ascari. And that was a nice line through there by the Porsche. He is closing in on that McLaren as they come out of Ascari. It does take a bit of a bump though on the curb. And they head towards Parabolica. Phoenix Grey has just been overtaken by T1. Going down into Parabolica again, and then up the pitch straight we go. Phoenix Grey is into the slipstream of the McLaren. This is potentially where he can make a move. T1 will try to defend in the McLaren, but here comes the Porsche driver. Later on the brakes he goes, and he does make the move and back into the podiums for Phoenix Grey. As they all come through Retafilo. So GS Racing leads. He's now got a bit of a gap to Jonathan. And then Phoenix Grey, and who was that? That was T1 that just went off the track. Judd's in the Ferrari just watches on. A little bit of debris on the track. And as they come out of the Lesmo corners, down through Seraglio and in towards Ascari we go. Phoenix Grey can see them just in the distance. And MSC F1 Nick in that BMW. Phoenix Grey is being attacked here by T1, and T1 just slamming on the brakes very early and then goes back on the throttle to try and close the gap. And out of Parabolica we go. And I tell you what, that McLaren is very close to the Porsche driver here down the pit straight. And we do have the Ferrari now getting involved. And look at this as we head in towards Retafilo, the Porsche driver, and that is the McLaren that goes later on the brakes, and off the track he goes, and around, and the Ferrari just has to move out of the way, and the McLaren will back up to give the other drivers a little bit of breathing room. Cinders in P6, having a blinder of a Grand Prix so far. Oh, that was a slight mistake from the front runner of GS Racing. So, Cam McKenzie in P15 at the moment. I think he's just still trying to get used to this. Duncan in P7. And as the sun starts to set, so the two Porsche drivers of Jonathan and Phoenix Gray in P2 and P3, but he does have Chuds in P4 in that Ferrari right on his tail. Nick is around 3 seconds behind these two as they go towards Parabolica. The Ferrari looks like he's holding a bit of speed through here. Look at the line that he's just taken. He's going to get a great exit out of Parabolica, and he does. And already, oh, and he spins Phoenix Gray, and Phoenix Gray is around. A collision down the pit straight. Phoenix Gray. And that might be race over for the Scotsman. Nick is up to P4, Cinders is up to P5, but the BMW and the Lexus will go for a little scrap in towards Retafilo. Up the inside goes Cinders, holding his own against the BMW driver. Duncan is trying to get in the mix. Nick is just in front. So, oh, that is Lev into the pits. Demir is currently in P10, but it's GS Racing that does lead this Grand Prix so far. Oh really? Right, 1 minute mate, I'll try and sort it out. Let me have a look. I'll just see if that's a little better. Yeah, no, I appreciate you mentioning it, mate. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. GS Racing is currently in P1. So it is Jonathan, they're chasing him down. Just let me know if it's any better, mate. Duncan in P5, Jonathan in P2. Nick, Cinders, Chuds is now in P3. So Nick in the Ferrari has got a bit of space behind him now as Duncan tracks him by about 1.5 seconds to Cinders in P6. The Dutchie's doing really well to sort of get involved in this little tussle. Daddy Cool in P8 in that McLaren. And oh, late on the brakes for Daddy Cool. Sean in the Nissan down in towards Retafilo. Look at this by the Dutchie on the back of Cinders around Curva Grande. Oh, that's really strange, isn't it? Oh, who is that that's round? Oh, that's Nick. Nick in the Ferrari is into the wall and everybody moves up a position. I will try and sort it afterwards, mate. Nice one. One minute, let me just check it whilst I'm streaming. Yeah, you're right, it is, isn't it? It's like a constant drone. 2 seconds, mate. I'll just see if that's any better. So the Dutch is up to P6. Sean up to P8. Smalley in P15. Daddy Cool in P7. GS Racing is your race leader so far. Cinders is battling with the Dutchie, who's 3 tenths behind him. So here we go around Curva Grande, and it's annoying that I can't get to the driver behind him without skipping through the whole bloody thing. The Dutchie, oh, and look at that, that was Cinders that went off the track. That might have opened up the door for the Dutchie, and it does, and the Dutchie is through. And up to P5 goes the Lexus driver. So Duncan now up to P4. He's just been chipping away at the drivers in front, hasn't he? As Duncan, he is 14 seconds off the top 3. One of them being Jonathan, who's 4 seconds behind Judd, and GS Racing has gone into a demanding lead. So Cinders for Ascaris makes another mistake, and now he's lost touching distance to the Dutchie. Nick after that collision, and he has got T1 and Daddy Cool on his tail. So we'll have to see what happens here with Nick. Does he have lasting damage? Does he have lasting damage? So Nick, oh, he spins again, Nick. So Cam McKenzie in the Porsche is currently in a P12. There is Jonathan with Duncan chasing him down, and the Dutchie with Cinders behind him. I've got to admit, it's really, really difficult to keep track of where everybody is when you can't go through the order in the actual order that the drivers are in. It's really difficult. So Judd's in P2, Jonathan in P3. So I'm trying to have a look. None of the drivers are really close at the moment. Daddy Cool and T1 both in the pit lane. And there's no drivers really that are close by on track at the moment. And Jonathan does have Duncan 2.7 behind him. And there are a couple of drivers in the pit lane. So who's this? That's just going in towards Retafilo as he chases down GS Racing. Well, the pit stops are quite a long pit stop. As the Dutchie comes out, Cinders and Sean follow him. And what about Smalley in the Porsche? He does have Lev just behind him going down towards Parabolica. And I tell you what, these drivers might be getting hunted down by GS Racing shortly as he heads down towards Ascari. So T1 is just on his way out of the pit lane, and into the pit lane goes Smalley. Daddy Cool is on his way out, but look who that is. That is, I have no idea. Nick is. I think it was Lev actually that just went through. And there goes Smalley. MSC F1 Nick now in P10 after the pit stop. Sort out that damage. The drivers are now bunched up, but they're not in the correct positions as they've not had that pit stop yet. Well, some of the drivers haven't, as Lev in that Aston Martin just coming out of the two Lesmo corners, and he does have Daddy Cool right behind him, who has already pitted, and he does go through. So Daddy Cool is through on Lev. Now up next is Robert Gillen. So the four drivers heading in towards Parabolica, and the McLaren and Daddy Cool just leading this train in towards the final chicane at turn 11. The Aston Martin, I've got a feeling, might go into the pit lane here. So Lev does go into the pits, and that leaves Daddy Cool and Robert Gillen out on track. Remember, Daddy Cool has pitted, Robert Gillen yet to do so. Oh, that's a car that's round. That is Daddy Cool, I think it is, who was having a really good race, and he spins it in Retafilo. So with 26 minutes to go, he is round. So MSC F1 Nick getting chased down by Robert Gillen behind. And there's another driver round. Who is that? Jesus. So some of the drivers are back into the pit lane. CF1 Nick, who has pitted as well. So Demir is into the pit lane in that McLaren. GS Racing, who leads the Grand Prix, is yet to pit, but he does have Judd in the Ferrari really gaining on him. And I think he will go into the pit lane. He does. There we go. Judd's in the Ferrari, also following him in, so that will be pit stops complete. He does have the fastest lap of the race so far. So who is now in the lead? It is Jonathan in the Porsche. He'll try and get a bit of a head start on the drivers as he goes in towards Retafilo. Cam McKenzie is up to P6 as he goes deep into De La Rocha and over the gravel. Cinder's in P7. And what about Nick? He's got a driver right on his tail as he comes out of Ascari. So Nick being chased down by, I think it is Robert Gillen. It is. So in towards Parabolica, and it's the McLaren driver who is yet to pit on his tail. And so GS Racing has come out in P4, Chud's in P5, but they are right in the midst of a bit of a battle here. They've got to get past a few drivers. So Jonathan leads. So GS Racing with T1 in front of him. Remember, T1 has pitted here, but he is currently in at P9. This is where Chuds needs to get his foot down and start really taking time out of GS Racing in front as they run wide into the Lesmo corners, trying to keep that pace as we go down towards Seraglio. T1 knows that he's got the front runners chasing him down, and at some point he will be shoved out of the way. So we do have another driver into the pits, and look at this. Oh, and he went off the track, did Nick? And Robert Gillen is through. Daddy Cool coming in towards Ascari. And there is a driver. Who is that? That is car 32. That is Cinders. That has Jonathan on his tail as he comes through Seraglio and down towards Ascari, down the hill under the bridge. And now the sun has set, and this is where things start to get interesting. Oh, and a little bit deep again from Demir, and the Bosnian driver is into the gravel slightly. So Robert Gillen is right in the middle of Chuds and Nick. He is currently in P12, and he's got Nick who's in P10 behind him. So slamming on the brakes in towards Della Roggia, and you can see Nick just behind him. And the Dutchy is having a really strong Grand Prix here. He's in P5 as Daddy Cool in front of him rides over the apex. I tell you what, the Dutchy looks very strong here on Assetto Corsa around the Lesmo corners. Oh, and off the track goes Daddy Cool, so he lets Smalley and the Dutchy through. So Jonathan has now caught up to Cinders as they come out of turn 5. Down towards turn 6 and 7 we go. And another driver goes into the pit lane. So GS Racing back up to P3 after that pit stop. Around Curva Grande. Oh, what about this? We have a battle, and there goes the Dutchy on Cam Mackenzie. Cam Mackenzie will come later on the brakes, but he doesn't make the move, and the Dutchy disperses of Cam Mackenzie as quick as he can, as he doesn't want to be held up at all. And the Ferrari of Nick is now up to P9 in that red theme here at the home Grand Prix. And that is Jonathan into the pit lane. So he will definitely come out behind GS Racing. So into the pits he goes and stops. Juds and GS Racing will move up to P1 and P2 again. Smalley in P14 is yet to pit with 18 minutes to go. Here comes Chuds, and Jonathan is on his way out of the pit lane, but the Ferrari driver should move in front of him, and he absolutely does, and up to P2 he goes. Jonathan will have them fresh tyres though, and he's not come out too far behind him. Chuds makes a slight mistake, goes a little bit deep going in towards the Retafilo, and Robert Gillen is the car that separates the pair, who also needs to pit. So we have another driver in the pit lane. So Chuds is around 4.5 seconds behind the leader. And just watching Jonathan, he's belting out some decent lap times. And he has Robert Gillen in the distance. Can just about see him with the flicker of the headlights. So let's have a look at Smalley, who's in the middle of Cam McKenzie and Daddy Cool. So through Ascari goes Jonathan, and he goes a little bit wide and onto the gravel slightly, and then down towards Parabolica. I'm pretty sure Robert will pit anytime now. The question is, does Jonathan catch up to the Ferrari? And he goes deep in towards Parabolica. Does Jonathan? Robert Gillen does stay out for another lap. And now here comes the Dutchie, who's in P4. Fantastic from the Lexus driver. He's setting decent lap times as well, the Dutchie. It's around about Jonathan's time that he's setting. So up towards Retafilo. MSC F1 Nick just in front of him in the Ferrari here in Monza. So still a bit of work for the Dutchie to do, but he'll be very happy at the position that he finds himself in, improving on his lap times in towards Della Roggia, and then down towards the Lesmo corners. And with every inch of this circuit, he pulls that Ferrari closer and closer through the double Lesmos, and then down towards Seraglio we will head. And they do have a couple of the other drivers. That is T1 in P8. And Jonathan still just trying to chase down Chuds. So is he gonna make the move? Oh, and the Ferrari goes off again. Nick finds himself onto the grass for the third time, and the Dutchie will move him out the way and carry on. Robert Gillen is finally into the pit lane, and Jonathan gets some nice clean air to race into. What about Cam McKenzie, who has Smalley right behind him, and Danny Cool as well? The three of them race down towards Parabolica with just under 14 to go. In towards Parabolica, Cam McKenzie runs deep. Danny Cool is through on Smalley. So up the pitch straight we go, and Danny Cool knows So T1 currently in P8, but he's in between Demir and GS Racing. And then we do have a couple of the other drivers. That is Smalley on the back of Daddy Cool. He finds himself edging closer to Cam McKenzie in front. Oh, and he's off the track again, Nick, in the Ferrari. And there goes Daddy Cool on Cam McKenzie. That is for position as well. Cam McKenzie's into the wall, and through goes Smalley. So a mistake has cost him. And into the wall again in the distance is that Ferrari. And Nick has really struggled here this evening. Daddy Cool in the McLaren in P9. C1 with GS Racing just behind him, and Demir just in front of him. That battle with Demir is for position. So down towards Ascari, T1 chasing down Demir, through Ascari and down in towards Parabolica. Look how close he is to the back of the Bosnian, both in the McLarens. Will he look for an inside move? Hits the brake pedal. Demir trying to keep his line. T1 takes the wider line to try and get the better exit as they come up the pit straight. So into the slipstream goes T1 on Demir. This is for P6 and P7. And we head towards Retafilo at turn 1 and 2. And he follows him just through there. Sean is in P8, but he's way behind the pack at this moment. GS Racing Judge Jonathan, the top 3 as it stands. So through into Della Roggia. Demir will try and defend, he'll try and hold on. And T1 is going to try and find a way through here. Through the Lesmo corners. With 9.5 minutes remaining of the race. And look at this now, T1 all over the rear wing of Demir as they go in towards Seraglio. This is where he's going to go for the move. He moves up the inside, down in towards Ascari, and T1 is through on Demir. Demir goes later on the bricks. They do collide, and Demir is onto the gravel, and T1 is round. A huge collision into Ascari. And that was not great for him. What about Robert Gillen being overtaken there by Cinders, who's now in P5? Smalley into the pits, Sean in P8, the Dutchy in at P4 with 8.5 minutes remaining. Here goes Jonathan up the inside of T1. Out of Parabolica we go, and Smalley will be overtaken. We've got a lot of drivers grouped up coming out of turn 2 around Curva Grande. Oh, just hitting a billboard there, did MSC F1 Nick. And what about Jonathan? He has T1 and Sean behind him, following him. A stop and go penalty for car 76, which is Smalley, speeding in the pit lane. Here goes Robert Gillen on cinders. This isn't a race that he's involved in at the moment, but he's still going to go for it. And up the inside goes Robert Gillen on cinders. Later on the brakes, will Cinders get the old switcheroo into Parabolica? A great feathering of the brake pedal there from Robert Gillen to keep that on track. And up the pit wall we go as the McLaren goes in front of the BMW and down towards Rettifilo at turn 1. Look how much the drivers are bunched up through Ascari. So Honda knows he has Jonathan in front of him, Sean behind him. This could cost some of the front runners as well. Chud's in P2 at the moment, and look how close he is to GS Racing. 1.1 is the gap. Is he going to be able to take the lead with the remaining 6.5 minutes? Let's keep our eyes peeled on this. Remember, Jonathan isn't too far back either. So down towards Rettifilo, on board with Chud's in the Ferrari. And he looks like he's holding a lot more pace than GS Racing in that McLaren. 6 tenths is the gap now out of turn 2 and round Curva Grande. GS Racing did get a very good exit out of Rettifilo there. The gap only 4.9 to Jonathan behind. So in towards Della Roggia. The consistency from the Ferrari is really telling now through the Lesmo corners. 1.2 is staying around there. They're both very even on pace. Different lines through Seraglio though. And down towards Ascari once more underneath the bridge. And Chud's has lost 4 seconds to GS Racing. And now Jonathan is all over the back of him through Ascari as he slips and slides. Does the Ferrari driver and the Porsche all over the back of him. And GS Racing has been gifted room and space. So Jonathan knows he could edge in front and take this P2. Through Parabolica with just under 5 minutes to go. A stop and go for Demir, who's currently in P8. That'll cost him. GS Racing moves in front of Smalley. Here comes Juds as Smalley just slows down and waits for the drivers. So Smalley serving his stop and go penalty. Around Curva Grande. And look at this from Nick. He is fighting with Sean, who's in P6. The Nissan driver and the Ferrari. Oh, and there's a driver round. That is Demir, who was in P8, who's now got a penalty and round on track at Della Roggia. And look at this, sliding through there is Nick in the Ferrari. And in the distance you see the Dutch hit. Jonathan's still within a second of Chuds. Could he possibly get that P2 before the end of the race? The Dutch hit has his sights set on MSC F1 Nick. Even though it's not for position, he'll still like to get the overtake on Nick. So down towards Parabolica, 1.1 is the gap. But as we jump on board with Jonathan, he's now 1.5 behind Chuds with just under 3 minutes remaining. GS Racing is way clear now, and as long as he keeps it clean and gets to the end of the race, that will be it. Sure, Chuds, yeah, 1.1 is the gap. GS Racing has drove a phenomenal drive as he heads towards Della Roggia. The McLaren has been brilliant right from the get-go. Off the track goes T1, he's still in P7, Robert Gillen down in P10, Demir with that stop and go. The Daddy Cool in P8, Sean in P6, the Dutchy in at P4 just behind Nick, who went slightly onto the gravel. Look how close Jonathan is now, 7 tenths is the gap with just under 2 minutes remaining. He's chasing him through Seraglio down towards Ascari. Could he get him before the line? Could he get him before the end of this race? In towards Ascari, the gap is half a second. The Porsche driver knows it's now or never. Down towards Parabolica, the gap opens up once more to just under a second. Leader is on the final lap. This is it. One more lap to do it. Jonathan chases down Chuds for P2. Down towards Rettifilo we go. The Porsche on the back of the Ferrari. Can he get him? They're both putting it on the line. He goes later on the brakes. Look how close the Dutchman is to the back of that Ferrari in front. They do have Lev in the way, who just moves out of the way. The Aston Martin driver lets them go, lets them race. 0.4 is the gap as they come around Curva Grande down towards Della Roggia. Will Jonathan be able to pull it off in towards Della Roggia? And then in towards the Lesmo corners goes the Ferrari and the Porsche. 5 tenths separate them. GS Racing is way clear now. But this is the battle on track, and it's for P2 as well. In towards the second of the Lesmo corners, and that's the Ferrari that just runs a little bit deep on the apex, on the exit of the second Lesmo corners, through Seraglio, slightly downhill, underneath the bridge towards Ascari. 0.4 is the gap. I don't think Jonathan is going to catch him. He's going to need a miracle from here. In towards Ascari, an amazing line through there for the Porsche. The Ferrari is under pressure. Here comes the Dutchman, but he does go off track down towards Parabolica. GS Racing is on his way down, but Jonathan chases down the Ferrari, and it is GS Racing that will come through around the final chicane at turn 11. And GS Racing, with a phenomenal drive and the fastest lap, takes the victory at the pre-season race here in Monza. Here comes Jonathan up towards the line. Jonathan, oh, just misses out. And I think he might have got it, actually. Wow, that is incredible if he has. I think Chuds did take P2. So, brilliant race, and that is it. Here comes Daddy Cool. He's going to take P8, the Dutchy in P4. The fireworks erupt here in Italy. And the Dutch and Daddy Cool does take P8. Smalley picked up a big penalty. Sean is going to take P6, Dutchy in P8, Daddy Cool. Demir in at P10, GS Racing, the race winner. here comes T1 to the line. So there you have it, GS Racing wins. The only way I could really do it is if I watched it like this from the garage, but then I would have all this on there. So there you have it, GS Racing wins after 24 laps here in Monza. Chuz takes P2, Jonathan in P3, the Dutchie takes P4, Cinders in P5, Sean in P6, Honda in P7, Daddy Cool in P8, Robert Gillen in P9, Demir in P10, Lev takes P11, Nick takes P12, Cam McKenzie in P13, Smalley in P14, Duncan in P15, Phoenix Gray in P16, Twitch Capital in P17. That is your race results in the pre-season Grand Prix here in Monza for MSC F1 GT3 Series. It has been a pleasure as always. Remember, it's only a pre-season race. The championship does start soon, so make sure you tune in. But for now, everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you all soon.
basics. What hit me, what hurt me, what made me? 'Cause maybe this life is worth saving.